So what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring this image into this image. And then we're going to remove the sky using one of the selection tools. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my move tool. This is to help you move. But first, I need to select this image somehow. It's not, if I zoom out, it's not selected. Like I need it selected somehow. Aside from using this and clicking and dragging around the whole thing, would be Command A. So if I press Command A instead, you can see it's actually this tool that actually selected the whole thing. So once you have that, go back to your move tool and you can check this off, which is show transform tool, which allows you to see the actual bounding box, which you'll need to see. It's very helpful. So leave it on. And I'm going to copy this image and paste it into this image. So in order to copy and paste, you can go to edit, copy and paste the long way, or you can use the shortcuts. Sorry, it's copy and paste. So copy is Command C and paste is Command V. So I like to use the shortcuts. So I'm going to press Command C, Command V. That easy. Then you look at your layers panel. Okay, you're going to have to unlock this layer because this allows you to kind of move them back and forth, right? So here, as you can see, if I zoom out, you're going to have to zoom out. You can see it's much larger, right? You're going to have to scale it. So make sure when you scale it, you're not doing this or this, because look at what you're doing. You're stretching it or it's not looking natural. So I'm going to Command Z, which is to undo that. Make sure when you scale, you're careful to keep it in proportion. Okay. So I'm going to scale it in. And it really doesn't matter if this doesn't connect to the bottom here, as long as the width is sized in. And that's all you need, because we are not going to see this area. Okay, so I'm going to press done. Then I'm going to drag this layer on top because I do want the beach to be on top and the mountains to be seen through. So what I'm going to do now is an easy thing. So we're going to go back to your selection tools. We're going to create another mask. So the selection tool is, I'm going to grab this one here because if I want to only show the horizon line area and the sand, if you look at what shape it is, it's a rectangle, right? So I'm going to take this tool because it's the easiest tool, click and drag it across like that. That's the area that I'm going to create a mask to maintain and hide the rest of the stuff, right? So before you do anything else, you can't do anything else because you have to make sure you're on the correct layer before you do this. Right now, I'm not selected on anything, so always double check. I'm going to click on this layer, which is the beach layer, because I want this to apply to the beach layer, not the mountain. Okay, so now that I have this selected, I'm just going to click on the button that is to add a mask, which is this little button here. And it's also located at the bottom here. So I'm going to click. There is your mountains. The only thing I have to do here now is let me just zoom in a bit, just make sure it looks okay. And I'm going to go into the layer mountain. I'm just going to bring it up a bit. I just want to see how much mountain. Okay, it's not too much. So you can kind of zoom out and make sure that it's kind of like that. Okay, I might have to bring this down a bit. Now, the only thing here left to do is I don't like, or you should also notice these things too. The transition is too unnatural. You can see how sharp the horizon line is, and it shouldn't be that sharp. So to make this look a little more natural, what I like to do is add a bit of it's called a gradient, but it's not really a gradient, no color. It's just kind of helps soften the layer. So I'm going to go in here and I could add feathering here, but the problem with using this tool is that it will add feathering around the entire thing, which I only want to isolate this area here. Okay, so make sure you're on this part, the mask of this layer, and you're going to go to the gradient tool. Okay, and make sure you have black over white here. And the last thing you're going to need to do is go to your gradient drop down and go to your basics and make sure you have black to the checker. which means black to transparent. Okay, now I'm going to double check here the gradient. We have classic gradient and regular gradient. I'm going to go to the classic gradient and I'm going to make sure that I'm on the black to transparent. Going to go in just because it's easier to control. Okay, and then I'm going to go in, click, drag. I'm just kind of softening. You can go a few times. I'm just drawing a little line and holding down the shift key. And that's essentially it. So I may have to bring the mountains up further down a little bit because I can kind of see these areas here, which I don't want to see. And I have room to do that. Do you see how some of it's sticking up here? So I have room to kind of bring it down. And if I were to disable this mask, like right click on it and disable it, it will bring up the original image. So we haven't actually done anything to it. So I'm going to go back in, right click and enable the layer mask. And that's how you bring in two images, blending it with the gradient tool.